Pura la pegola era la mia intesa, per veder della bolgia ogni contegno e della gente che entro vera incesa. Come i delfini, quando fanno segno a marinar cor l'arco della schiena, che s'argomenti di campar lor legno, talor così, ad alleggiar la pena, mostravan cul de peccatori il dosso, e nascondea in men che non balena. E come all'orlo dell'acqua d'un fosso stanno i ranocchi pur col muso fuori, sì che celano i piedi e l'altro grosso, sì stavan d'ogni parte i peccatori. Upon the pitch alone was I intent, that I might see all details of the trench and of the people who were buried therein. As dolphins do when arching up their backs, they give the warning which bids mariners take measures for the safety of their ship, even so at times is suffering to relieve, one of the sinners there displayed his back, and hid it in less time the lightning takes. And as in ditches at the water's edge, frogs stay with nothing but their muzzles out, and thus conceal their feet and all the rest, even so on all sides did those sinners stay. While Dante and Virgilio walk along the border of the fifth Bolgia, the boiling trench where the barattieri, barrators, where the politicians and civil servants who have traded public properties for their own interest receive their special punishment, the poet tries in vain to identify someone among the damned souls who are punished there. The barrators swim in the steaming pitch, forced to remain immersed in it by the horrible devils that monitor the Bolgia, a shocking and disgusting scene that, according to scholars, seem to symbolize the difficult and dangerous life in a medieval town, full of corruption, bribes, and betrayals. Canto 22 belongs, with Canto 21, to a really particular section of the poem, perhaps unexpectedly portrayed in an unusual comic style that cannot be found in any other part of the Divina Commedia. We are facing an intentional choice of Dante, who here confronts a subject that is deeply intertwined with his life and his experience of the exile. We in fact know from his biography that he himself was judged, condemned, and sentenced to death for being a barrator by the Black Guelph party while he was already exiled far from his home. Was the accusation true or not? We have few elements to give a conclusive answer to such a crucial question. We can only argue that the copious and frequent trials that the Black Guelph party brought against their exiled opponents must have had political other motivations, so that it is hard to believe that they were also entirely just. What we can and even must consider is the way in which Dante faces the question of barrators in his poem. A comical description of the trench in which there is no other protagonist except for Dante himself. A striking description of the devils that work there. And by the way, the only part of the Inferno where we can meet devils that correspond to the common image we could have of them in the Middle Ages. Black, brutish beings with wings, nails, fangs, and so on, and their failed attempt to plunge Dante in the steaming pitch. The devils look powerful, terrible. We even come to know all their ridiculous names: Malacoda, Scarmiglione, Alichino and Calabrina, Cagnazzo, Barbariccia and Libococco, Draghignazzo, Ciriatto, Graffiacane, Farfarello and Rubicante. And Dante really fears their presence when he first meets them at the beginning of Canto 21. Nevertheless, their power utterly fails at the end of our canto when one of the damned, the unknown Navarrese, manages to deceive two of them and slip away from their grasp. Dante manages to give us really an amazing and impressive description of the fact in his poem. Now, reader, he writes, of a new sport shalt thou hear. Each turned his eyes the other way, and he the first who had thereto been most opposed. The Navarrese chose well his time, stood firmly upon the ground, and jumping suddenly from what they purposed, freed himself thereby. For this each felt himself to blame, but most the one who of the loss had been the cause. Hence he moved first and shouted, "Thou art caught!" But little did it profit him, for wings could not outmeasure fear. As one went under, the other flying upward raised his breast, nor different is the speed with which a duck dives under the water when an hawk draws near, who, vexed and baffled thus, flies up again. Dante continues on with his own special revenge against the devils and the Black Gulf Party. The two devils are not simply deceived by Navarrese. Incredibly, they fall in the same pitch of the barrettos and in the end find themselves comically baked and punished. Then Calcabrina, Dante goes on, injured by the flout, flew out behind him, glad that one escaped because it let him scuffle with the other. And then the grafter having disappeared, he turned his claws upon his own companion and grappled with him over the ditch. But he, being indeed a fighting sparrow hawk, fitted to claw with him well, they both fell down into the middle of the boiling fan. A sudden separator was the heat, but rising thence was quite impossible. They had their wings so limbed with sticky pitch. Then Barbariccia, vexed as were the rest, his mates, had 4 of them with all their hooks fly to the other bank. On both sides they then speedily descended to their post and stretched their hooks out toward the breach belimned, who now were cooked inside their crusted hides. Now Dante and Virgilio can really escape the Borgia, leaving the devils ashamed of themselves and their useless and stupid intrigues. And thus embarrassed, we abandon them. Dante closes the canto. 2 can be the teachings we can get from Dante's experience in Canto 21 and 22. First of all, let's have the courage, as Dante did, to face the challenges and problems of life without escaping from them, facing the accusation of being a barretto. Let's understand and accept them, go through them, call them with their proper name. Secondly, humor can always be a helpful and smart means to face difficult situations. We don't have to take ourselves too seriously. A lighter approach can be a good way to overpass even false and shaming accusations.